Hey everybody, welcome to Shar's Craft Haven. Hopefully you all can see me and hear me. Uh, it's been a day. I'm sure many of you are happy that it's Friday. I am happy it's Friday. So we will see if people get the link, get on, and I will get started very shortly. Today I'm going to be going over the rotary for the F1 and doing well, both are user requests, but I'm also going to be showing scoring, engraving, and cutting all at the same time. This is going to be a quick one, so if nobody joins, then you won't see this because this will get edited out. So hopefully you all can see and hear me, and we will get to it. So first off, I am not an expert on the F1. I've had it a while, but I also moved. So I've spent a bit of time with it, but not a ton of time. So take that as you will. There's lots of stuff out there about the F1. I love the portability. I love the quickness. So it'll be fun to see what we get to. So first off, we're gonna work on the rotary. Um, a lot of people are intimidated by the Ra2 Rotary, myself included. It's a little bit of a challenge to open a box and see a bunch of different things you can use and not go, um, let me show you my setup currently. So I have the rotary setup. I'm doing something that's pretty small, toilet paper roll. Reduce, reuse, recycle. And I've moved it into slot A. So it's the smallest that it can get. I then use the knob to focus it on the highest part. So there are two dots. One is blue, one is red. If there's not a blue dot, then you've left your cap on. And so you twist the knob until it gets both of them overlapping, and that's how you know that it is focused. You can also enter the width, but that is a little more iffy with the rotary, the diameter, because it does go down into, so it'd be a little harder to do it that way. There is a specific attachment for the Ra2 to adapt to the F1. It's a cord. It looks like a camera cord, but it's a bit larger. It goes in the top slot you see there, and below that is a USB-C, and that is a way to connect to your computer. So that is where it is connected in. I also made sure that it was square, because there's nothing that the rotary hooks into. I wanted to make sure, since it's rotating, that it is square with the base. Since what I have is really light, I'm going to be putting in some scraps into the middle of it so that it'll give me weight, so that as the rotary rotates, it's not going to be so light that it can't pull it around. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and load that up. If you had something where you needed to make sure it was level, there's a level that comes with it. My toilet paper roll is mostly level. So I'm not going to be using that. I did a bit of testing already. Again, whenever you're doing something that's flammable or semi-flammable like this cardboard, you want to make sure to start as fast as possible and with little power, and then step it up. So here's my space. I'm going to go into cylinder, and then roller is the mode that I'm in. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the dragon image. Dragon image. We're going to scale it down. And then I'm going to make it one thing by doing unite. And then I'm going to rotate it to 270. So it's sideways. And this is much larger. So I'm going to bring this down to 20. I'm going to center it. We'll move it a little bit once we see the preview. And then for settings, the settings that I found that worked really well, max speed, and then 18 power. Again, I'm going to save this as F1 toilet. All right, and I'm going to be doing scoring. For things that are flammable, I don't recommend engraving. The more you contact a char area, the more likely it's going to ignite. So here we go. We're going to go and do framing. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do that again. I think I'm going to make it a bit smaller. So let's make it 25. All right, and then again, we're centering it. All right, and then we'll do framing. You can see it rotates and then it starts. So I need to move this down. Let's try that again. So you can see it's overlapping a little bit. So I'm going to do it down a little bit more. And then a little bit to the right. So let's do framing again. Okay, that looks pretty good. I'm just gonna make it slightly smaller. I'm gonna go for a 20 tall. And then I'm gonna move it just ever so slightly. All right, last framing. Framing is important. Okay. Once you get your framing the way that you like it, there we go. Once that's all set up, we're gonna pull down our little shade. I also have glasses that block the light. so that we don't, since it is a diode laser, you want to be careful about light. I have this connected with their exhaust system, so it will be exhausting fumes as well, just as a side note. All right, so here we have our results. So you can see when I first was testing, it was shifting a bit. And then here's a really good test. Again, it's cardboard, so it's actually slightly tapered. So when it did the outline, it was slightly off. I don't know if you can see that. Um, but if you had something that was uniform, you would have a lot better results. Again, the rotary, I've used it in the basic mode. Leveling it is important, but it's more intimidating than it actually is difficult. And so, get something cheap. I know a lot of big box stores um, you can get doweling, play with doweling or engrave on pencils, that kind of stuff, just to get some under your belts. But that's, a basic introduction to the rotary, and it's functioning. I'm going to quickly switch out to our our user request, which was showing engraving and scoring at the same time. All right. So we're gonna bring in another design. So let's rotate this 90. Okay. And then this is going to be a coaster. So let's switch over to inches. This will be like a mini coaster. So let's make a circle. And I'm going to measure my material. All right, so we're just practicing, but I'm going to make this 2.5 inches by 2.5 inches. And then for a text, let's say dragons. Gonna need to make this smaller. We'll say dragons. Drink. Dragons, drink. And then fire. All right. Okay. Since we're doing multiple since we're doing multiple types of things, let me go back to flat. There we go. Since we're going to be doing multiple operations, I'm going to color code them. So we're going to score the dragon. So let's make that purple. And we will do scoring. And we'll do Baltic Birch scoring for dragon and fire. Dragon, drink, and fire. There we go. I'm actually gonna yeah, I think that looks a little off center. This is where you can spend days, right? Spend days making it look good. All right, dragons, drink, fire. So for these layers, I'm actually gonna select them. I'm gonna change it to orange. I'm then going to do Control C and Control V. And then I'm going to make another layer. We will do this on green. That's engrave. So it's going to score. It's going to score and engrave. All right, and then I'm going to combine these so they're one thing, and that'll speed it up. So our scoring layer, gonna set that to Baltic Birch. Our engraving layer, gonna also set for Baltic Birch. And let's go down to 250. All right, so that's going to be engraving. So this is going to score. This is going to engrave. And then this is going to score again. And this says 2200. All right. And then for the outside, let's make this red. And this is going to be our cutting layer. And okay. If you have questions, feel free to let me know. All right, but here's what we're looking at. We're going to do scoring, engraving, scoring around the letters, and cutting. So this is a new feature. You can do you can tell it what layers you want it to do in. So we want it to cut last. So I'm going to do by layers. So it's going to do top from bottom. So it's going to go green. Then it's going to do so it's going to engrave first. Then it's going to score each of those, and then it's going to cut last. All right. I'm going to do framing, see what it looks like. Okay, there's also another way of framing, which is outline framing, which I'll show you fast. And that'll show the outline of what we're looking at, which also looks really good. I don't have a ton of experience cutting, so we'll watch how these layers go, and my settings may be off for the cutting, so I'll just watch it as you do. So we're going to go ahead and click process. It's sending it across. It shows us our preview. And then click start. And then as always, you want to make sure you have ventilation. Like I said, this is plugged into their desktop ventilation. And then in case of unexpected emergency, there's a stop button on the top left. And then there's also, you can pause by pressing the start knob, which is blinking right now. All right, here's what we're looking at. That was really fast. The cutting, I don't believe was good enough settings. So I'm gonna go back in and slow the speed down by half. The engraving looks light but good. So I think I'm gonna cut that speed in half. And then I'm gonna up the lines to 180. That's how many times it goes back and forth in a centimeter. And then the dragon was a little light, so I think I'm gonna knock this down to 50. And then with those updates, we will send it again. You can already see that the engraving is much deeper, much richer color. All right, so here we have our coaster, Dragon String Fire. Turned out really, really crisp. So the diode lasers are really good at getting that fine detail. The cutting, even with 2 passes, I would say it only went about halfway through. Again, the F1's not really for cutting thicker materials unless you have a bunch of time to invest. But here is how it looks. I'm going to do one more of these. If you have any questions, feel free to put those in the comments. I'm going to do a larger one. I pre-cut with the P2. Again, we're doing to do the preview. I'm not going to be cutting this time, so I'm going to get rid of this layer. And then this coaster is larger, so I'm going to increase this to 3 inches wide. And then framing to get it lined up. All right, that looks good. So stop framing. And then settings. So we've got our engrave layer. which we ended up doing 2 passes on. So I'm gonna drop this down to 50. We did our engraving layer, which looked really good. I'm gonna do 2 passes on that. And then our scoring layer, which looked fine. So we're gonna leave that the way it is. All right, we're gonna hit process and then start. How do I turn off the beep? Haha. Thanks for joining. I'm doing a coaster. Missed the rotary, but it was lots of fun. How is everything going for you? Buzzer reminders? Is that what you're talking about? All right. I will do that in honor of the doggies. So it is engraving very deeply. So, have you had any luck cutting with the F1? I did 2 passes and it didn't seem to go through very much. So, I even used the nifty little cutting tray. So, didn't seem to cut very well, but speed 5, wow, that's super slow. Wouldn't that be really charred to cut it that slow? Alright, now let's doing the fun stuff. All right. Dragons drink fire. I think it turned out pretty well. I think that when I was doing my settings, I did my engrave a little too slow. So bump that back up to 100. So yeah, so I like how it turned out. I think that is it for now. Again, here are my rotary learnings. You can see those. Maybe I'll go to the side cam. Again, putting weight in the middle so that it would rotate. And trying not to catch the house on fire, which is very important. So if you have other questions, please put them in the comments. Again, Shar's Craft Haven, like, subscribe. We are just over 500 subscribers. So I'm excited to see the channel grow. Again, if you have ideas, join Shar's Craft Lounge. Link is in the description. Usually a couple of days, 2-3 days before live stream, I ask people what they would like to see. And so until next time, have fun lasering. And thanks for coming, Michelle.